Natural Resources Tim Hodgson in Montreal this afternoon. He was taking questions from reporters for the first time since Alberta Premier Daniel Smith pitched a new pipeline. Our government plans to spend at least $14 million acting as the proponent for the first planning phase of a pipeline to northern BC. The premier of that province has rejected the plan, saying it's not really a project. Joining me now to talk more about this is BC's Energy Minister, Adrian Dix. Minister Dix, welcome back to Power Play.
It's great to be on the show.
So I wanted to start with asking you about how both you and Premier Eby have downplayed whether or not Alberta's plan for a new pipeline will come to fruition. Because yesterday on this program, the CEO of Enbridge said that his company and others would be willing to be a proponent of a pipeline if the conditions are right. So doesn't that make it more of a real possibility than perhaps BC thinks it is?
Well, there's no proponent, right? Like we have dozens of major projects we're presenting, many to the federal government in the same process. There's proponents, there's plans, there's routes, there's business plans, and there's a huge hope for economic development in BC. In this case, no proponent, no route. It's a political venture, and nobody on this cost of pipeline is going to take take-or-pay contracts on this pipeline. The reality is that it is not yet, in any event, let's be fair, a serious proposal, and we've made that case, and we've said let's not distract from the critical proposals, the substantive proposals we're putting forward with this discussion. So that's part of significantly what we said further. Because some people think, well, is this a dispute between the provinces? Well, we've been working to support Alberta. Many of our major projects, we think of LNG, also are beneficial, significantly beneficial to Alberta, as everybody knows. The work we're doing and we want to do with Alberta on the intertie, which is beneficial to Alberta. In fact, we're supporting the federal government, supporting Alberta financially with some of those proposals. And further on oil, if we're talking about oil, there's significant capacity that's available at very low cost. That is a fraction of what this massive venture, would it be put in place, costs. So it has significant costs. Further, we talked about lifting the tanker ban, which people are talking about on the North Coast. Well, it's in place. And it is one of the reasons, it's foundational to all of that economic development, including LNG, that's been happening on the North Coast. So for all these reasons, we've expressed the views we have, because this is a project that, for the most part, would be built in British Columbia. So that's the reason why we're expressing an opinion. If this was an Alberta project in Alberta, that would be a matter between Alberta and potentially the federal government.
So is the BC government 100% opposed to a bitumen pipeline if there was a private sector proponent that came forward with it?
So we just built a bitumen pipeline, right? TMX has built the existing pipeline.
But a new one, I guess, is what I'm saying.
No, but let's be clear. Of course, it wasn't built with private sector money. It was, we all own it. Everyone watching us today paid for it just a little bit, right? $34 billion. The majority of the debt carried by the federal government and not by the pipeline or its customers, right? That's what's happened, right? And so that has significantly increased by, in the 23-24 year, I think 300% the flow of the oil from Alberta to British Columbia, as you'd expect. And its principal customers right now are in China and the United States. And all of that is what's happened. So when people say, well, it's not happening or this isn't acceptable, that has happened. The issue here, at least for us, is that we have extraordinary opportunity in economic development in the province with real projects. And this, because it's divisive, because it's problematic, and because it's more of a political act than an economic act, for all of those reasons, we simply are expressing our strong view in favor of the oil tanker ban, and in favor of investing in real projects in BC and supporting Alberta's interests in tangible ways, which we are doing.
But I guess I'm asking because Premier Smith wants this to be a real project, and she is putting Albertan money towards it and is saying that it won't be taxpayer funded and that it will be a private sector proponent coming forward to eventually build it. So that's why I'm asking you just clearly, are you against a new bitumen pipeline that could go to the northern coast or to the northwestern coast of BC?
But frankly, isn't it the responsibility of Alberta and Canada? If they're saying that this is not going to be public money, which the last one was, right? $34 billion in public money, to be exact, to say what they're doing transparently. We're expressing our views about this because we think we have enormous opportunities for Canada here in critical minerals, in natural gas, in our ports, that this would significantly and negatively affect. So we're making our point for British Columbia. So we're standing up for BC's economy, which is the Canadian economy, will lead the Canadian economy in our view. And we're standing up, of course, for the coast of BC, which people have done for generations.
You said that this tanker ban is foundational to the tens of billions of dollars in investment being made in BC because removing it would affect these other projects. Can you give viewers a specific example of a project that could be affected by lifting the tanker ban?
All of these projects, right? We have social license on the North Coast, and not everyone agrees, by the way, but we have social license in the North Coast to build an LNG industry. $50 billion in projects under construction. That's no small thing. We'll talk about tens of billions. There's tens of billions. There are other projects, including LNG Canada 2, which is on the federal major project list and obviously is a BC project, which is critically important. When we have support for those projects, and you just need to talk to the coastal First Nations specifically on this question. They were specific on this yesterday. And all the projects that have been supported in the region, many of which are beneficial to the provinces of BC and the province of Alberta and other provinces. This is part of what they've said, their social license for such projects, and that the tanker ban is foundational to that. And of course, the coast has its own significant economy that's important as well. This is not natural gas, this is oil, right? And so the risks are significantly, I mean significantly higher to that coast. So we're speaking for British Columbians, but we're also speaking for Canadians who I think see this economic development as real value and don't want to put it at risk. We have real projects. We could talk about, if we had enough time, we could talk about 24 of them, right? Investors will make a difference in critical minerals, in our economic sovereignty, in our ability to build the economy that we want to do. We want to build here. We just passed legislation to reduce the times of permitting and the times of process for major projects here in BC, Bills 14 and 15. We are building here, and we want to continue that drive with real projects and not have a debate that is essentially a theoretical debate. And I appreciate the views of people in the oil industry, but I would also say that they have been, I think, working with us, the oil and gas industry, on significant numbers of these projects. And they know, as I know, that Enbridge, and the president of Enbridge knows this, has significant potential extra capacity at low cost. The TMX has significant extra capacity at low cost. And so if that's the alternative, lower cost and less divisive, then that's a good alternative.
So you don't take Greg Ebel's point from yesterday where he said that Canada could be an energy superpower, but we are standing in the way of ourselves because of these things like the tanker ban and because of the cap on emissions, essentially saying that, you know, allow somebody to build that pipeline and they will get behind it. They are saying that they could be one of the proponents.
Well, with great respect, I have no issue with Enbridge. In fact, we worked with them closely, including on projects in BC recently, extraordinary projects that they've done involving First Nations communities. So we have no issue with anyone. I'm just saying that they're not a proponent of this project. They're not. This is a fact. That the project itself would be extraordinarily expensive. Remember, the $34 billion project, that was a twinned line that TMX built. It was great difficulty and with great challenge, but they got it built, right? A $34 billion for twin line. This is a greenfield project across the north of BC that would be incredibly divisive. And our point is, we can do better than this as a country, and we're going to work with everybody, including the province of Alberta, to see that that happens. This is not our proposal. We're not on TV now because we're talking about BC's 20 or 25 proposals. We're talking about this one. And we're saying that when we submit projects to Ottawa, we have a higher standard, which is to have proponents, to have business plans, to have projects that will work and that will deliver wealth to our country. And that's what we need to do right now in the face of Mr. Trump's tariffs and the changing world environment. We need to diversify our markets. And that's exactly what we've been doing.
All right, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today, but I promise we'll have you back on, if you will come back on, to talk about those other projects in the future.
But Mike, as long as it doesn't affect your ratings, I'll come on anytime.
I'm sure they'll only go up. BC Minister
Okay.
of Energy and Climate Solutions, Adrian Dix, thanks for taking the time.
Anytime. Take care.